All right. How's it going, Josh?
Man, I cannot complain a bit. I'm ready for the weekend to get here, dude.
Same.
I'm
Yeah,
killing me, dude. Pictures are rolling in. I'm ready to rock, dude. I'm ready
that's
to rock.
awesome. I know you've been sharing them. It's kind of getting me pumped up as well. Eastern Outdoors Media, Tuesday night live, everybody. We're kicking it off tonight. John is feeling a little under the weather. We're hoping you feel better, buddy. Just get some rest and hope you bounce back real quick. But Josh and I are going to hold down the fort tonight. I hope everybody joins us and just we'll chat about deer hunting and what's everybody seeing. We'll just chat about what everybody's seeing, and hopefully we'll have an opportunity to chat about different things. I actually, Josh, you've motivated me to get on the computer and order my cell cam, so I've got it in, and we can talk about that. I got my cell cam
Oh
in.
yeah, oh yeah.
Pretty stoked
Heck
about
yeah. When
that.
you putting it out,
I'm going to try to get it out this weekend.
dude?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot better to. And excuse me, guys. I'm looking down. I'm trying to share the video at the same time as I'm talking,
Yeah.
um, but dude, I love a cell cam. I love
Hmm.
the fact that I don't have to go in there and take that chance of spooking something and getting my scent in there more and more. Dude,
Yeah.
having a cell cam is. I know a lot of people. They're like, I don't use cameras and stuff, but dude, it's a game changer. It
It
is.
is.
It
It's
is
a
a
big
game
time. It's a
changer.
big time game changer. Hey, if you're watching from another group, we share this through the Kentucky Outdoors Facebook page and some of the other pages. If you're watching from another page, make sure you tell us your name and where you're watching from, so we can kind of make sure we know who we're talking to, because we enjoy making sure we bounce back and forth with the comments and make sure we know who we're talking to. And we've got Steve Marlin from Minnesota watching. Welcome. We
You're
appreciate you.
welcome, brother. Welcome.
Appreciate you joining us. What are you? You don't have to tell us in the comments what the deer are doing in Minnesota. It's kind of fun to listen to where what deer are doing in different states, because sometimes that behavior is a little bit different in those places.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. I see you're wearing your raw hat. So guys, if you've never heard of them, I'm gonna go ahead and plug them real quick. So Raw Frozen Scents is the name of the company. So on Kentucky, it is illegal. There you go, right there. It is illegal on public land to use estrus and stuff like that. But you can use cover scents. You can do that. So obviously, look into the rules, regulations, all that of where you're hunting at before you do it. But raw frozen scents, I've used a lot of different, specifically estrus, a bunch of different estrus. Raw is the best I've ever used. And I'll tell you a story of what I did one year, and it's insane to me. It just blows my mind. But when you order it, they literally send it to you frozen. Like it's when it gets to your house, it is frozen. So you take it, it comes straight from their property into the bottles. They ship it frozen. You put it straight in the freezer, and when you thaw it out, it is literally as fresh as it gets. It is, and it's potent. And the reason I bring it up, I got my hat and I put it on, and I was standing there talking to my wife, and y'all are going to probably think I'm a little crazy, but when I smell estrus or deer pee, dude, it gets me amped up, dude. Like one of my favorite things is when, like, rifle season, for instance.
Yeah.
I don't know if you all agree with me or not, but I feel like when rifle season comes in, dude, the air smells different.
Yeah.
It does. And
November.
the minute I get in the woods and I put estrus on my boots or on a scent dude, that smell with the smell of the woods is my favorite thing ever. So I literally was standing there and I smelled it, associated it with rifle season, and I was like, I cannot be wearing this right now. It smells just like estrus. So I took it off. I took the hats outside and I set them out to let them air out. I may have to wash them, but dude, I'm telling you, I'll make a long story short, but when I first got into raw frozen scents, I was living in Eastern Kentucky, small town, and my buddy Eric No he was working with raw, and he gave me a bottle of their estrus, and it was from the previous year that he had, and that's all he had. That's all he had left was that, like, from the previous year. So it's not fresh. And it had been in his backpack in the building. So it's got hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. And I put it on a scent drag, dude, and I drug it behind me before daylight. I sat down, and, dude, sure enough, a buck nose to ground following that trail. And I'm telling you, if you've not ordered estrus yet, if you're going to use it and you haven't ordered it, if you need buck urine, some mock scrape stuff, get on their website, use EOM, Echo, Oscar, Mike, 10. So EOM 10. You get 15% off your first order, and it's a big bundle of stuff that you order. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, that stuff is the best on the market. I'm not just saying that either. I swear to you.
No, I'm a big fan of it. I think it's super. You're not kidding when it's super potent. I picture you just standing there with your hat, and you're just doing the cold gold dust thing, where he kind of just goes like this up his body, and you're just taking that scent. The gold dust. I had to do it. Let's jump into some of the comments here. Hey, evening, Brent. How's it going, buddy? I noticed James said, "Hey guys, great news on 3 more weeks in my brace." That is awesome news, man.
Heck yeah.
James, I know you've had a long recovery, buddy, and it's going to continue, I'm sure. But that's great news, and continued thoughts and prayers and healing, and that's just great news. Great to hear. Yeah. Appreciate you sharing that too. It's good to hear that. Scott Butler's here. Hey, Scott, how's it going, buddy? Hey, you got a doe the other day. Good
Scott,
job.
I just want to know, what are you going to do tonight without John here? You're like, your entire objective of the show is to pester John and give him a hard time. So I think John's in the comments. You and him, I guess, can just figure it out in the comment section. But yeah, actually, Lou Woodcraft, Kentucky here. Acorns are falling, and most deer have gone nocturnal for now. So that's kind of something I wanted to talk about today, Mike. You'll know more about it than I will. And I'm going to try to figure out before the show's over. If you have pictures, go to my Facebook page. You can message me directly, and we're going to bring up pictures. We do a little segment where we guess the age of your deer. Send those pictures to me. We'll bring them up on the screen, talk about your deer. You can tell us the story behind it. But and I'm also going to bring up some that I've had here recently. But I had some bucks come in probably early last week. Biggest bucks I've had on camera so far. They stayed in the corn for about an hour, and then I haven't seen them on camera since, which isn't a huge deal. You know, they're probably still in the area. There's other places that they can, get a food source. But this week at work, a buddy of mine was telling me, he owns a farm, that his deer had left corn and went to acorns.
Yeah.
So is this time of year, kind of explain that to us, Mike, because I don't know. Is this kind of like they transition? Like if you got them heavy on the corn piles, is that how it, like once those acorns start dropping, they kind of transition to those oak trees?
Yeah, they sure do. It's so now you probably had deer, and obviously at feed piles or corn piles or different feeds, whatever you're putting out for the deer. I'm sure they were hitting that through early September, throughout August if you started in August, and then early bow season as it started. But the acorns are starting to fall in different places. They're not quite falling big time on our properties yet, but they're close. We've got a couple trees. We actually just moved a stand last weekend into a group of oaks that are full of acorns. We're really anticipating that being a good spot. But yeah, once those acorns start falling, hitting the ground, those deer are going to big time transition to that. I think that's going to be their fastest and quickest. For one, it's just they love them. They love acorns.
That's what I was about to ask you. Is it like, I prefer a cheeseburger over pizza? So is it literally that simple?
It kind of is. It kind of is. The acorn also is going to give them the quickest way for them to build that fat. Right. It's just straight. Go straight to them and builds that fat really fast and really quick. But they just love them, especially white oaks. If you've got a live white oak tree that's full, they're going to be hitting those first, just because they're going to be the less bitter acorn out there right from the start. And then they'll probably a little bit later on they'll move on to the red oaks, and they'll hit red oaks when they're readily available on the ground. Not to say that they won't, but they'll probably hit a white oak if there's a white oak somewhere that's hot. that's what they're going to choose to eat first. But yeah, what I would say is probably within the next 3 to 4 weeks, we're probably going to see just heavy hitting acorns, maybe even into early November, still hitting that. But then if you've got ag or larger corn ag fields or things of that nature, they'll probably still use those things. It's not like they're going to completely walk away from them, but
Right.
they'll definitely hit those acorns now as heavy as they can, and they'll probably supplement and use those cornfields. But then they're going to eventually hit that corn back when we probably get into November, so it'll kick back in.
Right. I got you. Yeah, that's what Scott's confirming there. Just kind of
Yep.
what you were saying. High source of fat. They got to have it. So,
Mm-hmm.
that transition. I mean, I've never ate an acorn before, but like I said, I would pick
They're pretty bitter.
I'd pick a cheeseburger over pizza any day of the week.
Acorns are pretty bitter. I've had them. They're pretty bitter.
James Evans said had 2 yearling bucks tickling their antlers on video the other day. Got him fired up, dude. I'm the same way. I've got some decent bucks on camera, but I've got this spike and 4-pointer. Every time I hunt, I see them. It never fails. They're constantly on my camera, but even just seeing them gets me fired. Just seeing deer in general gets me fired up.
Yeah.
Just the movement of it. Christian McNaughton, I hope I'm saying that right. Don't judge me. Once they go nocturnal, I have a hard time getting them back to seeing them in daytime. I hear that from a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
Especially the bigger bucks, like these small bucks that I have on camera, man. It's when it hits like just that daylight, they're there. They're there eating. They're comfortable doing their thing. They'll leave, usually come back around noon. They'll leave, come back. So the more I hunt, the simpler it's getting for me in my head. It seems like, because it's like a human. The younger you are, the dumber you are. The older you are, the smart. Like it's seriously that simple. So it's just catching them making that one mistake, man. So it's tough. Is there any? And please in the comments as well. Is there anything you can really do to attract a buck out in daytime, other than the rut? Because they're going to be out. They're chasing does. They're looking to breed a doe.
Yeah.
Deer this time of the year and then post rut. Is there anything you can really do, or is it just catching it at the right time?
That's something that we've never really figured out. And what I've always told people, we have the same issues. The thing that Christian brought up, we have the same problem in our place. It's, we've got about 67, 70 acres, give or take, at my uncle's. And it's not a real wide place either. So it's just one of those things where our camera tells us there's deer there, but when you look at the camera pictures, that's all at night.
Oh, yeah.
So I think once we get into, October, deer probably kind of figure out that we're kind of roaming around a little bit. They probably have caught our scent here or there. So they're now kind of understanding they're probably being pressured. And actually my uncle killed a doe the other day. So, they're probably understanding that there's pressure at this point. And larger bucks, we typically have a hard time getting them in the daytime, specifically or this time of year. Not to say that we never see them, but we typically don't on the hoof. If we're in stand or whatever, it's pretty rare that we see one out and about. It's just one of those things. We're not, more than likely, we're just not where those deer want to be. They're probably on the next door neighbors in a big oak patch, and they don't have to move very far. They're probably bedded, and then they got to stand up, and then they eat acorns, and then they lay back down, or they move a little bit. They're just not where we're just not exactly where they want to be at the time that they want to be there. So
right. And I think Brandon here, he said that there's no such thing as nocturnal deer. Deer are in the daylight somewhere at all time. Acorns.
Yeah.
I think that's a good point. I do believe I was talking to somebody the other day. At any point of time in the day, deer moving. Like there's deer somewhere that are moving. But I also believe like your older, smarter bucks, they primarily come out at night. I do believe that. I'm not gonna say I completely agree with there's not nocturnal deer, because I do think there are like bucks that they solely come out at night. But I don't know. That's a what do you all think in the comments? Definitely, I want to know your all's point of view because I've got deer on my camera. They only come out at night, but like I said, the younger deer, dude, they're always there. It
Yeah.
honestly, it's very, very annoying because I know I'm not going to shoot them, but they're eating all my corn. They're eating everything, dude. But then again, I'm giving them a food source here in about 2 or 3 years. They might be some good bucks. So got to kind of look at long term too. Brent Lemming, the real question is, how do you take a cheeseburger over pizza? Brent, I'm a big cheeseburger guy, dude. I am. Hey, and that's another thing in the comments. Would you pick a cheeseburger or would you pick pizza? Which one? How about you, Mike?
I would probably go cheeseburger, to be honest with you, but it's close because I like pizza too. It kind of doesn't matter. Fact is, I just had some pizza right before this.
Huge pizza guy, but I was actually telling my wife this the other day because she's a school teacher. Dude, I love school cheeseburgers. Cheeseburgers, dude. I remember when I was young. I mean, I put some weight on since the Army has, kind of been on the back burner for a bit, and I'm starting to transition. But dude, I literally loved the school cheeseburgers. My mom would give me extra money just so I could get more cheeseburgers and more French fries. Dude, I loved the school cheeseburgers, dude. And I guarantee, John, if he's commenting, guarantee he loved the school cheeseburgers too. Guarantee it. Brent Lemming, okay, I already read that one. Scott Butler, I still have deer coming to corn. It's all about that fat source. Christian, what's everyone prefer, shell corn or ear corn? I'm not gonna pretend that I know what the difference is.
Ear corn is just whole corn, like on the stalk.
Okay, I got you.
And then the shell corn.
I heard somebody talking the other day. Actually, they work for one of the ag companies out here, and they were saying that basically when they come through and harvest the corn, it's not like rare to see deer basically picking up that corn that they're cutting down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was wild.
That is wild. I'm going to jump back just a little bit, Josh. A couple of people were asking about the trail cams. Yeah, a Facebook user said, how's the cell cams work with no service or one bar on a phone? I couldn't get mine to work well enough to use. That one's tough. I'm always, and obviously there are cases where it's like, man, I would love to put this trail camera way down the deep in the bottom of this creek bottom. I typically put mine. I just kind of am aware of it, and I just make sure that I put mine in a place where it's kind of on a ridge or outside of a food plot on top of a ridge or something like that, or a transition area. That's typically where I keep mine, just to make sure I don't have that problem. So I've never really played around with mine. There are some spots that we really do not have good cell service on my uncle's place.
Yeah.
Specifically, one of our main clover fields that gets hit by deer constantly. We'd love to have a cell camera down there. I've never tried it with this new one. I ended up getting the Tacticam Reveal, the Gen X or the Gen 2 just the other day. I ordered it and got it in within like 2 days. So I'm going to probably put that out this weekend, and maybe I'll test it while I'm out there. I'll try to get maybe I'll put it out and I'll get back with us next week. I'll tell everybody how it worked. I'll put it in the clover field. Maybe I'll have somebody walk in front of it, and I'll go up on top of the hill to see if I end up getting a message. Sometimes they come through later, and sometimes they don't come through at all. But from what I understand, if you do not have service and for whatever reason it doesn't send you, you do have an SD card in there. So it's still going to keep those pictures on the SD card. But obviously, in theory, you want to use that cell cam to send it to your phone. So you don't have to
for sure. For sure. And you're correct. It works just like a regular trail camera. It's just you got good signal, it comes through. Like mine takes a little bit. I'd say probably around like 60 to 90 seconds. I test it. I'll walk in front of the camera. It takes about 60 seconds and it comes in. But once one comes in, it's like I don't know what it is, but it's like it gets synced with time or something. And then if there's deer in the area, they just keep coming, dude. Like John told me last night, me and him both have access to that cell cam, and he had put it on silent mode because it would not stop going off. So, the service, sometimes you have to play around with it a little bit. If you're on public land and you're down in like a big, saddle or something, there's a chance you're not going to have service, and you're going to have to move it around because not only do you have to have strong signal, but you have to connect with the server as well. So that does take time, but dude, it really is the way to go, because even if you don't have good cell service, you can use the camera. But if you have good cell service, you're going to be able to use it through your app on your phone. So, dude, cell cams are the way to go. We'll try to catch up on some of these comments real quick.
Yeah.
Brent Lemming, he has a good question there. If you haven't started corn yet, should we just wait? Been super busy this year and haven't gotten to start. I would put it out. Yeah, because you put it out just because they're transitioned to acorns don't mean they're going to stop by. In their head, they know that there was corn there. You know, if they see it and then they leave it for acorns for a week or two, they're going to know it's still there when they come back. So I'd put it out. I would.
Yeah. We've still got some stuff out in front of our cameras, and they're still coming to it. So it's not like it's completely taking them away. Now it might be less frequent use. You might, in that your cameras might prove that that they're not coming to that corn. I don't think that's been your problem. They're still coming, pretty hot and heavy. You're getting visitors, you're getting turkeys and deer and all kinds of stuff. So they've not stopped coming to your corn or even the antler builder that we've put out. It's, they're still coming to it. So I'd go ahead and put it out.
Oh, right? Yeah, for sure. I definitely would. WO said, I went to my farm this afternoon. I'm sorry. What's it doing here? Hold on. I'm working on it. There we go. I went to my farm this afternoon to cut firewood, but I drove around to check out my food plots that I planted about planted here weeks ago. And at 6:40, sitting in the truck, I had a nice buck walk out into the field. Nice, dude. Scott says, give it awesome time. I agree, man. There's a buck though. I'm very tempted to let him have it, dude. It's close. WO said he prefers shelled corn. Joe Carter said, hey guys, what's up, Joe? Thanks for joining us.
Hey Joe. Good to see you on here, buddy.
Joe said it is loaded with acorn, or they're loaded with acorns right now. WO said he's seen a few. Let's see. Let me scroll down here a bit. I want to get to the most important thing of the night, the votes on cheeseburgers and pizza. So you got pizza, cheeseburger, hamburger, pizza. Some people were just putting fast food. I said pizza or cheeseburger, not just fast food, Come on. Hunt's Brothers Pizza wasn't in there, Joe. It wasn't an option. Oh, never mind. Sorry, it is an option.
It is pizza.
Blonde moment.
Come on. Hey, I see Scott also said, do your homework, get between the beds and good food sources. So my uncle and I, when we were moving a stand, we talked about deer just moving, not necessarily being nocturnal. They move throughout the day, just depending on where they are. We were hanging a stand. It was a lock on, and I was literally undoing the chain, and I was getting ready to lower it down to my uncle with the chain. I was holding on to the tree. I was lowering the chain with one hand, and he goes, Michael. And I went, I kind of stopped. And as soon as I heard him whisper and kind of say my name fast, I knew he'd seen a deer. So I paused. I'm literally hanging. The tree stand's going like this. That's all it's doing. And I'm just holding on. And I'm just I tuck myself next to the tree. I'm sitting there holding that stand. My arm's starting to shake. And a really nice buck slipped through a bedding area right across the creek. And he slipped right through there. It was a really nice one, too.
Really?
He was at least an 8 or 10 pointer. Real tall tines. Didn't have a lot of mass, but he looked like a really nice buck walking through there. And he had no idea we were there. The side-by-side was parked on my uncle's four-wheeler path. And where we were hanging that stand, he had no idea we were even standing there. So it was kind of funny. But luckily, he was kind of keeping an eye out because that deer would have probably spooked had we not had somebody else looking and kind of watching out for it. But kid you not, it was noon.
Really?
That deer walked right through there.
I've found out over the last couple of weeks. So I've never hunted private land before, never up until this year. If you don't know, I've talked about it a couple of times over the last few weeks. Me and my wife are buying just a small piece of property. We're going to call it a farm because that's what it is. It's going to be between 5 and 10 acres, but it's going to be the Jenkins farm. So
nice.
Just letting you know. But now who we're buying it off of, it's a total of 65 acres. And being from Eastern Kentucky and now living in Western Kentucky, it's so much different. it is insane. Like the amount of deer that I'm seeing every time I hunt. Because Eastern Kentucky, man, I remember the last rifle season, the one before that I went to Eastern Kentucky in Harlan. I went with my buddy Eric. We hunted 5 days and we seen one deer.
That's tough.
One deer. There was sign everywhere, dude. It was, and we had a buck come through, just couldn't get a shot. But that's pretty normal where we hunt at. And I don't know if it's pressure or what it is. I mean, we're talking about the Appalachian Mountains, so it's, it's huge, massive, plenty of places for them to hide, and no one's ever going to hunt all of that land, And then I come out here, and I've seen a deer. I've seen 5 or 6 deer every time I hunt, like every single time.
Yeah, you've been seeing a ton of deer, man.
I have, and it's opened my mind to like, dude, private land is when there's no pressure. Like, it's, don't get me wrong, I like the aspect of the challenge of public land hunting. I'm planning on hunting Fort Campbell this year, maybe Peabody a little bit. But dude, it is nice to not have to worry about other people. Yeah, you don't have to worry about all the pressure and all that stuff. Sure. It's nice. It really is. I know everybody's not fortunate enough to hunt private land, but it's definitely an eye opener, and I kind of see it as a way to teach myself a little bit more about how deer react in a situation when I'm in public. Because, dude, when I see one deer in public land and I didn't have this private land, it's like I'm all amped up, ready to go. Now I'm seeing deer all the time. It's like, oh, this ain't a big deal. It's just a,
It's funny how it's funny the differences, and even deer react differently. They react differently. Public deer and private deer do not act normal. Compared to one another. They're different. It's for sure. Oh, yeah. Mark Hickey agrees with you. He said school pizza.
Where at?
In the comments, right up there when everybody started talking about pizza.
Oh, okay. I got
Mark Hickey said school pizza. Hey, Gordy.
Let's see. Scott said something here about pulling your bow up in the tree. I'm trying to find. It won't let me go up for some reason. I don't know why. Here we go. There we go. Or pulling your bow up in a tree. Scott, you're going to have to retop that. I can't.
So he said, or like pulling up your bow in a tree and a 150 walks out and looks right up at you.
Oh, okay.
For whatever reason, stuff like that sometimes happens to us all, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, man.
It's funny. I was literally mid lower in that tree stand. That buck walked through. Wasn't a 150. He was probably 130-ish, give or take. But he was a nice one. Had real tall tines. I'm jacked. Like the acorn stuff, I see a lot of people starting, kind of talking about acorns and getting more into that conversation. I'm pumped. There's a stand, dude. We moved a ladder stand really quietly. We got up in there, and there's already deer sign around it. There's a couple white oaks out in front of the stand. There's like a grassy lane that kind of goes up our fence row. And there's 2 white oaks that are full of acorns that are going to be dropping soon. They're not dropping yet, but they're close and they're loaded. Yep. And then behind the tree stand, we've got several red oaks that are kind of in a hardwoods that are on the corner of the fence, and they're just dropping acorns right underneath where that tree stand is. It's going to be in a dandy location. I'm pumped about it. Can't wait.
Gordy said deer move a lot around noon. I wouldn't have agreed with you until this year, because deer on my property are constantly moving around noon. It's definitely a hot time. It's like right at daylight, noon, and then dark. They're always moving. Doug Clayton says, is it in Christian County? It is. It is between Hopkinsville and Crofton. Right, that like smack dab in the middle is where I'm hunting at. So, yes, it is in Christian County. Lou Woodcraft said, I've had a few different smaller bucks show up since they started cutting the cornfields. Yep, that's what I've been hearing too. Once that corn gets cut, more deer start to move in on that corn once it starts hitting the ground a little bit.
Yeah.
Joe Carter says Western Kentucky is overpopulated. I agree 100%. This weekend I've probably got, I don't know, I've sent you pictures, Mike, you and John, and it's crazy how many deer I've got on camera. I'm going to try to take a doe Saturday, try to take a doe Sunday, and then I'm going to hunt one of the fields and try to get turkey if I can.
That'd be fun.
I'd like to kill a turkey. So that's my
Reminder for everybody: we're down to 2 fall tags this year, so keep that in mind.
2 what?
2 fall tags, turkey tags.
Oh yes, yep, 2 fall tags. Yeah, I think I read it earlier that one has to be the beard has to be 3 inches or less, and one has to be bigger than 3 inches. I think, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so. Yeah, I'd have to check that again, but I know for a fact we've gone from 4 to 2 for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Anthony Jones says, "Hey Jimmy Carroll, Jimmy, I did not see you. Oh, there it is. Hello family, Jimmy. Good to see you, buddy.
Hey Jimmy,
a good deer
hope you're feeling better, buddy.
Change it. Yeah, always. Let's see. Trying to catch up. Scott said, "Sorry, Josh, I will try harder." And also, he said something earlier, Scott. I think you asked if I'd been around Wolf Creek Dam around dark. I think Wolf Creek Dam, is that down at Lake Cumberland?
Yeah, Wolf Creek Dam. Yeah, that's the main one, I think.
Yeah, I've not been down there. Never have. I've been to Lake Cumberland, but I've not been to the dam. I assume you're talking about the deer down there. That's the only thing I could think of.
Well, there is a lot of deer down there, right around that area because there's a campground down there. I've stayed at it a few times, but there's the Cumberland River's down there too, so it's kind of
right.
It's real pretty down in there.
Yeah, Casey Sparks. Shout out to Casey. Took me and John shark fishing. Nice. We was at the beach, so didn't catch anything, but we enjoyed it. Had a good time, just talking, getting to know each other. So looking forward to doing that again, man. He says he's put over 1,000 pounds of corn in 3 weeks. The does are killing it. I'm the same way, man. I've probably put, I don't know, between 100 and 200 pounds of corn in a couple weeks, and they're smacking it. So, but he did kill a doe recently. So I say keep smacking them, dude.
Keep absolutely. Brent was asking if there was anybody in northern Kentucky that sold bulk corn. I think Mark Hickey mentioned Matt Cedars in California, Kentucky, which is kind of down, in between my area and like Maysville, kind of in between that area, that run that's kind of runs along the Ohio River there. But Brent, you might check that out. And I don't know if any like specific stores, or you might actually have to reach out. Brandon, I think Brandon Epperson probably does. You might be able to reach out to him. And Brandon's on here right now, so you might be able to talk to him on the side there about that. And then James was mentioning the camera that I have, and then Brandon also mentioned some stuff. I've not gotten a solar panel for it. I do want to look into it though. I might have to reach out to you guys kind of on the side just to kind of get your thoughts on what I should go with, or how I should set that up. Because I do think the solar panels, from what I hear, really, really helps those cell cams, and it kind of saves you money to where you don't have to continue buying all those batteries and stuff.
I'm trying to figure out how to bring these pictures up onto the
Where's
show.
John when we need him?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out, guys. Just bear with me here. I've got a couple of pictures rolling in, and I'm trying to bring them up so y'all can see these pictures. I mean, WO sent me some, and they are some good-looking deer. Good-looking deer. Yeah, John usually does this. He knows all the ins and outs and everything else.
He was on here a little bit ago. If you're still watching, John, throw an explanation out.
Yeah, how do you bring the pictures up? I'm just trying to figure it out. Hey, another thing I wanted to ask everybody. I was wondering if crossbow season just came in. I'm wondering if anybody's going to go out with a crossbow. I know we're usually pretty focused heavily on, using a compound, and I do have compound. I love using my compound, but I've never killed a deer with the crossbow. Mike, I think you killed one with this crossbow. Did you not?
Yeah, I got one with it. A big doe. Yep.
That's what I was thinking. Yep. So is anybody going to be out hunting with the crossbow this weekend? If you didn't, I don't know if you don't follow me on Facebook, I literally, my son, I've been out in the backyard shooting, and he has been dying to shoot a bow. He's never shot one. And yesterday I kind of introduced him to it. I've got an Army background, so I'm all about safety specifically. Like I went over everything that you need to know. I told him, it's like, this ain't a toy. I know it's fun, and I want you to have a good time, but safety first, right? Like I'm very cautious with that stuff. So, but man, the first time he shot it, dude, he doesn't like loud noises. I don't know what it is, but it's something like, even like, it sounds dumb. Going to a public restroom and flushing the toilet. He'll flush it and close his ears because I don't know why it bothers him, but
Yeah.
The loud noise the first time kind of bothered him a little bit, but after that, dude, he was letting it have it, dude. So I'm excited. I got the crossbow sighted in, and I'm ready to get out there with it, man.
That's awesome.
Really ready to get out there with
That's really cool.
James Evans said there's great smallmouth fishing near the dam, dude. I've been to Lake Cumberland, I think twice. Yeah, twice. The first time I did not catch one smallmouth. I caught like a 5.5 pound, 6 pound largemouth. It was my biggest up to then. I caught like 25 largemouth. Man, wow. I keep burping. But yeah, dude, I love that place. Josh Teeter said, what is your tactic for getting out of the tree stand with deer around you? I carry a coon squaller to scare them off. I didn't actually have that happen to me until this year. I was hunting first time on the property out of my saddle. They came in at like 4:30 and it was a wide open field and they bedded down until like almost dark. They started moving around again and they wasn't leaving. And my neighbor texted me and he said, hey, I'm about to mow. There's a strip of grass right along their driveway. It's really, really long, over 100 yards. He said, will that mess you up? And I thought, no, go ahead and mow it. And as soon as he started mowing, it didn't scare him. The deer just watched them the whole time. I snuck down the tree and I walked the long way out of the woods and they never seen me. So I don't know, Mike, do you have anything to add with, if you have deer around, how are you getting out of the woods?
Yeah, that's actually a fascinating question. And I've never really thought about kind of taking an approach like that of making some type of noise that might sound natural, but not want them to stay around, if you will, like something like a raccoon squaller. I've just kind of, if deer are kind of around where I'm at, I just wait until I think they're gone. Specifically, if I'm in the woods, you can kind of hear them. But if you're in a field, that's tough because they might be out there a while, and you might be not getting out of that tree stand until about 11 o'clock at night if you're not careful. Really? So I've not been in that situation a ton to where it's been a major problem, like a consistent problem. But that's a good tactic. I'll have to keep that in mind to make sure I kind of put something like that in my pack or something to where I can maybe do that.
Right. Gordy said he loves his crossbow, dude. I love this thing too. I just love. I'm very particular, I guess. I like things a certain way, and with that crossbow, I don't get me wrong. I'm a decent shot with my compound, but dude, when I have a scope, I know I'm not missing. That's just I'm very good with the rifle, and that's what I feel like I'm holding when I have it. And it's just, dude, I know for a fact if I get one broadside, it's going to happen. So I love the confidence I have behind a crossbow, man. It's
cool. Yeah, it's super cool. I love shooting them. Speaking of crossbow, Mark Hickey, he was on here a little bit ago. I don't know if he's still on. His son actually his son is 5 or 6, if I'm not mistaken. And he just killed a really nice buck with a crossbow just this past weekend. So congrats, Mark, and congrats to your son. That was a really nice deer.
Congrats. Congratulations. Dwayne Best says I shoot a couple does every year with my crossbow, but most of the time I use my Matthews. Jimmy Carroll. Let's see here. Get it pulled up. Austin Kidd and I took a first-time hunter out Saturday morning. He was able to harvest his personal best and first deer ever been with a spike. We were more excited. Man, my eyes are messing up on me. It's weird. We were more excited for him than he was. The best part was the post-shot jitters and adrenaline rush. I was just talking about that today. Congratulations to him.
That's awesome.
That is incredible. I was talking to a guy at work yesterday, my buddy Eric, and he's never been hunting. He's from Texas, never been hunting, and I was talking to him about going, and he was like, "Man, he was like, I want to come up and shoot your deer, but I'd like to go." And I was like, "Dude, first of all, if I didn't want you to go, I wouldn't ask."
Yeah.
And, but dude, there's nothing like watching someone shoot their first deer. I love it because I'm the same way. Like that adrenaline, that first expression on their face, like they what they've done, and just man, I love it. I really do.
Yeah, dude, that's really cool. I would, I'm hoping Caleb gets his first deer this year. We'll see what happens.
I
But
hope he does too, man.
I mean, you said that, and I'm already replaying his turkey hunt from the spring where he got his turkey. But yeah, that's just that pumps you up for
Oh
sure.
yeah, oh yeah.
And gosh, man, when John, I was there the day that John killed that deer, his first deer on Rich WMA.
Oh yeah, he
And
was.
when he texted me, I was super pumped, and we got to kind of go through that tracking phase together. And
Yep.
when we got up to it, that was super cool to see him get that deer and us recover it and watch him drag it out and stuff, because he just grabbed that thing and took off going. It was funny.
Right.
I
Oh
took
yeah.
a picture while he was doing it. He was sitting there dragging it. I'm just like, here you go. Oh gosh.
Scott Butler says crossbow. Lord, watch your hands. Gordy said make sure he keeps his fingers down. He can cut them off. John made sure to tell me, man, he makes me nervous. Watch his fingers. That's one of the first things. Like I said, I'm very big with safety, making sure you're doing it the right way. I taught him how to put it on safe, how to fire, make sure you're pointing it, downrange, not at anyone, make sure you're being safe. And I specifically told him his hands are so small when he holds the bottom of it. They barely go up the side of the crossbow. So I told him, like, hey, don't put your fingers above the guard, because if it does, it's not going to feel good. I promise. It's not going to feel good.
Yeah, that's another good thing.
Joe Carter said I have an automatic fish feeder with a solar panel, and it has some rechargeable batteries in it at 100% charge for 3 years all winter.
Wow. That's awesome. I need to check that out.
Oh, yeah. Gordy says he yoke house. In order to get him out of there, he yoke house. I can't do that.
Yep. I'm not very good at that.
He said it's money. I'm trying to catch up here. Let's see.
Now, see, I've heard of this. Facebook user said, I have my wife drop me off and pick me up on the quad. That is actually really effective, because those deer just don't pay attention to that. Case in point, I was actually doing tractor work back in the summer. I was on the tractor, and I was driving right parallel to a creek, and there was real tall grass. I literally drove right past a buck. He was bedding on the edge of the creek in the grass, and all I could see was like his kind of shoulder, the front part of his shoulders, his neck, and his head above the grass, and he just watched me. I drove right on by on the tractor, and he just watched me. So there is something to that. If you've got the ability to have a situation like that where your wife can, or somebody, your hunting buddy, can come get you while he's on the four-wheeler. I've even heard people use that tactic to like drop your corn. So you drive up to where you're going to put your corn, or where you're going to put your bait pile, and you leave your four-wheeler running. You dump everything out, and you hightail it out of there. The deer are less bothered by that than they would be as if you were walking through there yourself. There's definitely something to that for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. Hey, so I'm trying to figure it out, guys. Christian, you asked what my last name was. It is Jenkins, Jenkins. Send me your pictures. I'm gonna fool around with it for about 5 more minutes, and if I can't figure, and you know what's sad is I'm an IT guy. I'm literally an IT guy. I work on computers and communications equipment for a living, and I'm having a hard time figuring this out. So, Josh Jenkins, send me your pictures. I've already got some. I'm just trying to figure out. It's got present here, but it's only got for a video file. It doesn't have for a picture. So, and John told me you couldn't do pictures. So, I think you lied to me. I think
when did he on here? Where did he go?
No, yeah, I don't know what's going on with it, but yeah, dude, I'm ready. I'm ready to get in the woods. I've not had the itch like this in a long time. I've not been motivated for probably the last 2 or 3 years about just getting in the woods, and just kind of with the cell cameras too. I'm gonna buy 2 more. I've already got one out on that corn pile on the opposite side of the property. I'm going to put some antler builder. I'm going to pick it up Friday, putting out a salt block, or I guess a mineral block, whatever you want to call it. Putting a cell camera out on that. And then in the very back corner, I'm going to do a mock scrape. There's a fresh trail that comes through there. It's slick. I'm going to put a scrape in there, put a cell cam on it. And hopefully I'm hoping once these temps drop a little more, starts getting colder, because I think the bucks that I've got on camera, that Bachelor group, kind of broken up and doing their own thing. I'm hoping once it cools off and I get that scrape in there, keep the feed coming, those bigger bucks are going to start showing up. I'm really hoping so.
Well, you've got a good number of does in that area, so I'm feeling pretty confident. And man, you might even want to be patient as far as a buck's concerned, because you've got a condensed area of does, and there's going to be new bucks showing up in that area. So you don't know what's going to show up, and that's kind of exciting to think about that.
I know, dude. It's killing me. I was talking to my uncle Sammy. I was talking to him on the phone earlier for like, man, me and him could talk all day. We talked for like 45 minutes. And the only reason he called was because he seen Nathan shooting the crossbow. And the first thing he said, I answered, and he said, "You already teaching that boy bad habits?" No, I started laughing, but he just trying to give me a hard time. And he was looking at those bucks, and he told me, he was like, having a lot of does is a good thing. He said, because then the bigger buck's going to show up, kind of like what you just said. And then he was telling me, he was like, man, he said, if that buck, that crazy looking buck where the antlers almost touch, it's like a 7-point, I believe.
Yeah.
He told me, he said, if that thing shows up, I'd shoot it. He said, you don't want that thing breeding any of your does. So yeah. I'm very, very tempted. Like, I want to shoot it because, one, it's very unique.
It is.
It is a very unique buck. I don't want it breeding does. But then again, on the other side, it's like, dude, there's a lot of season left.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of season left. And when the temps drop, the rut starts hitting, dude. I don't know, man.
Well, I can guarantee you there's going to be new bucks that show up into that little pocket of woods that you hunt in, because like I said, there is a condensed, you can see it on your cameras. There's a condensed number and a good number of does that hang out in your area. So that's going to be a fun little spot here in a couple of weeks. I guarantee you. Yeah,
dude, I'm pumped. I really am. And that's one reason, like, I keep getting mixed opinions, I guess, from everyone. Like, John is telling me, hey, shoot some does, man, get them out of there.
Yeah. I'm telling you that. Shoot a doe. It ain't gonna hurt nothing.
The whole part that's killing me is that like, some people will say, man, having a bunch of does is good because it's gonna bring bucks around. So it's like, do I get rid of some of them? Do I hang on to them? Do I?
Nah, you go get you one, get you one, and knock it. Knock that that weight off your shoulders a little bit. Get you a deer down. You've got plenty of does. It ain't going. Taking one out of there is not going to change your situation at all.
Right.
I don't believe it'll change it at all. I really don't.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, Doug was mentioning. He said, I remember sitting with my son Kenneth. His son Kenneth is my age. We grew up together at church and school, and he's a great dude. I love Kenneth, and I haven't hunted with Kenneth in a while, so hoping maybe he can make a quota hunt or something. Doug, we'll have to get him out there again.
Thank you.
He's Kenneth's a good dude, and so is Doug. We love hanging out with them, and we've spent a lot of time in the woods together. That's some of my favorite times.
Yep. Scott said that's what I told him, Mike. He can be a bit picky for now. I'm right in that middle stage, dude. I want to be picky, and part of me wants to shoot that weird 7-pointer. I just can't help it. And I'm very trigger happy. I like to draw blood. That's just who I am. I'm just a killer, dude. You
need to drop a doe.
I know.
Just get that done.
I know. Gordy said most of that is from does, not the bucks. Scott said, Josh, that 7 could turn into a big freak nasty. I know, man. That's the other thing too about it. It could be something insane next year. I wish I could pull up pictures. It's killing me.
It's killing me too.
It's wild how I'm gonna see if I can pull it up here on my phone and show it on the camera. But,
at least it's something.
Yeah, dude, it's a crazy buck. And I'm sorry, guys, I can't pull up the pictures. I really wish I could. I can't figure it out. I don't know. Let's see if I can get this pulled up here. If I turn this light off, it might help a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know how he does that. I've never actually seen or watched him explain that.
What is it?
How John does that? I have no idea.
Me
I've
either,
never seen
man.
him do it.
I don't know. I thought earlier I talked to him. He said he's feeling better. I thought he was going to go live with us, but I guess he's not feeling good again. So I don't want to bother my precious brother. Don't want to upset him.
Let him heal up.
Yep. Let's see here. Where's my picture? There we go. Here we go. I got it now. I'm trying to hurry, guys. I'm not trying to hold y'all up. Well, this is a video of him. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not. He's the one. Can you really tell anything?
Come in a little closer if you can. A little closer. There he is. I see him pretty good now. That one on the left, super narrow, heavy. He's a different looking buck, isn't he?
Yeah, and I want to shoot him. I do. I want to shoot him.
Don't do it.
He's just, dude. He's
not yet.
I know, man. It's killing me. And the other two that are with him, they have decent bodies on them.
Yeah, they do.
They have good mass on them.
Hey, but, real quick, what does everybody think in the comments? Should he shoot or pass?
Yeah, let me know. Shoot or pass. Jimmy says, have a great week, everyone. Be safe while in the woods. Jimmy, we're praying for you, buddy. And
continued prayers, Jimmy, and congrats to the hunter you took out on Saturday.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. WO says pass. Casey says 2 more years. He's heavy. Give him another year. I'd pass. See, man,
Okay, so this is where, and I see where your struggle is. You're coming from public land hunting, Josh. You are now on private land. Now you might have neighbors that hunt or potentially hunt, and he could be dead. You don't know. But more than likely, you now have a greater chance of seeing these deer from year to year to year if you allow them to grow. So you've got to change your perspective now that you've got a place that's private, because you can afford to wait a little bit with that private land hunting.
Yep.
So that's where I see where you're struggling, because I hunt public and private.
Right.
And when you're hunting public, you're kind of like, man, I got to take the first deer that I see, because I might not ever see that deer again.
Right. Yep.
But when you're private, man, you might see that deer 50 more times on your camera just this deer season. And then you can kind of watch, and maybe you can find his antlers during the winter, and then you can put your cameras out next summer and see if he's still there. Right. So it's different. It's a different thing.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Casey says rut will draw bigger, older, more dominant bucks. Wait it out. Chances are you're going to see a bigger, better buck. Yeah. It could turn into a nice management buck. The only thing that I think of now, and it's literally just because the conversation I had today with my Uncle Sammy was, do I want that deer breeding other does? Is that a bad thing? Is it a good thing? I mean, it's not good.
Well, I mean, he's I don't know. That deer's got really good mass. He's super narrow, but I mean his mass. So I'm not sure that I'm not sure that is a negative thing, especially if he's allowed to get older. He might look like a different deer next year. He could be wider next year. Right. He might still carry that narrow trait. I mean, and that might bother some people, but that's going to be a nice buck here in a year or two. It really will. His heaviness is already pretty evident. Oh yeah, and he's super tall too.
Oh yeah, yeah, Scott, I agree with you, man. That deer has potential. It's and that's the other thing I think about too. Is what if and it's something you can't control. And I'm not the type. I used to be really bad, especially when I was younger. I would stress about killing a deer. I was super bad for it. I'm not like that anymore. I'm really not. I don't like just going out and seeing deer. I'm happy. I could kill that 6-pointer and be like, man, that was a lot. I'd be pumped. I'd be very excited. Mm-hmm. And that's all it takes to make me happy. So I'm not the type to get stressed out. But I also think of, man, I kind of hope that the neighbors don't kill that deer.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of that, James was bringing up. He said that's actually a couple comments knocked that down. So let me scroll up here. It was a good comment about having discussions with the neighbors. Get with the neighbors. Ask if they'd be willing to share trail camera pictures that they've had on their property. You can share with them, and say, hey, let's all agree, if we see this buck, let's let him go and see what happens. It never hurts to have those conversations with the
Right.
neighbors. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Stephen Aravalo, I hope I said that right. I'm sorry if I didn't. In my area, bucks are still running in groups. I think that was definitely accurate in my area as well up until about a week ago. I think they've finally decided to start splitting off. So I think things are starting to change. That's for sure. Patterns about to start changing. It's about to be different. So just kind of filling it all out. Gordy said, you already sound stressed, Josh. I'm not. If you knew me really, really well, this isn't me stressed out. When I'm stressed, everybody that is around me completely knows it. It's just figuring it out, playing the game. Just I like the strategy of it, especially when you have a good feel on the property. But man, I'm pumped. I'm just man, because you never know what's coming through. Never.
Yeah.
You just never know.
I've got a fast question for people. Anybody that's got fall food plots out, how are they doing? We have been dry up in my area. Not much rain, probably only one rain in the last week and a half, I feel like, maybe even 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Is anybody got food plots out that are struggling? Because we've kind of been reluctant to get going, afraid that we're going to spend so much money on seed that it's not going to come in. We just haven't had a good opportunity to get in it.
WO's got a good point. He said, I have no problem eating my buck tag. Once you shoot, that's it for bucks until next year. I like the feeling I have on every sit that a big boy might come through, and I had multiple opportunities last year to harvest bucks, but I ate that buck tag, no regrets. Hey, man, that's the other thing is kind of figuring out how to manage the piece of land that I'm hunting, just making sure I'm doing the right thing with letting them grow, whether to shoot. And that's something I'm not very familiar with. I'm not. So it's usually on public that I'm used to. I see a decent deer and it's boom. I'm letting it rip, man. I'm like I said, I'm bloodthirsty. I like to kill things.
Yeah, it's fun, man. I think my cousin he got a doe. My uncle's gotten a doe. My other uncle's gotten a doe. Uncle Don might actually have 2 deer down now. I can't remember, but I'm late to the game as usual. Everybody else is getting them. I need to get after it.
Oh yeah. James Evans, he says I'm holding off for now, or holding off now for later on. Going to overseed plots with oats and rye to salvage what I can. Scott said he had a chance to pass on a 14-inch wide 2.5-year-old with 5 drops on one side. Neighbors even after we discussed it shot him same year anyway.
That'll happen.
Yeah,
you might have somebody that just says, "Oh yeah, I won't shoot it," and then he does.
And then he does. Yeah, nothing
We've
you can
talked
do about it. Nothing.
We've talked about this before. There's a lot in hunting that still requires the gentleman's handshake, and unfortunately, there's just a lot of people that don't abide by that anymore.
Right. Yeah, most. I think a man's word says a lot, and most people's word nowadays ain't worth a crap. It's really not. It's unfortunate. Nope. And then I think this is perfect comment, kind of wrapping it up. It's 9:00. I got my youngin waiting on me, but Joe Carter said, "I just hope everyone kills a deer that makes them happy." I think that's definitely a good closing spot right there, because I'm definitely a true believer in that. Absolutely,
100%. I can't wait to get a doe.
If you're out and you see a 4-pointer and you shoot it and you're happy with it, I'm happy for you. I'm not that guy that I don't rag on anyone for what they harvest. So, Mike, got anything before we call it a night?
Hey man, I'm just ready to get back into the woods. I had to stay out this weekend. My wife was out of town, and she was out on a girls' trip, so I had the kids, and we had some stuff to take care of, sporting events. So I missed hunting this weekend, right. But ready to get back after it this weekend, and hopefully maybe I'll get a chance at a doe. We'll see.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Steven, real quick said anyone hunting Grant County? That would be me. I hunt in Grant County. Yeah, love hunting. My uncle has a farm in Grant County, kind of in the Williamstown area, off the Williamstown exit. in Corinth, kind of in the Corinth area. But yeah, there's some good deer out there. It's just now we got to figure out how to get one.
Heck yeah.
Love it though. He's had his place for about 25 to 30 years now.
That's awesome, man. It's awesome.
Good stuff.
I'm the same way as you, though. I didn't get to hunt this last weekend. Went to the Bengals game, which was, how it went.
Yeah.
And then did a bourbon tasting on Saturday up in just outside of Frankfurt, and then didn't really get to hunt. So I'm Saturday morning. I'll be in the tree about 5 a.m. waiting on them to come through. So, guys, appreciate y'all for joining us. We'll be back next Tuesday as always, 9 o'clock Eastern time. Appreciate it, guys.
Let's go. Good luck, everybody.